It is said that the meeks will take over the world, but I think the world has changed a lot, and it's the younger generation, the ever so hungry youth, which is now at the helm of things. One such person with me is Aadit today, 21-year-old, the movers and shakers of the. And I can't even say Zepto is anything else but a tech marvel, right?
Yeah, like
Gone are the days when we used to go to the bank to, do our banking. Now a bank has become like a food delivery app.
yeah,
Similarly, gone are the days where you had to go to a ration shop to buy milk. It's now everything,
press
press a button, and
10 minutes.
there you go.
Yeah,
And you're the one who's leading the wave. I'm really privileged to have you with us.
my pleasure.
Would you be able to tell us how's your experience been?
It's a wonderful experience. I think I just mentioned you before this we started, right? Very high quality event, well organized. I think this obviously the speaker lineup speaks for itself, right? Prime Minister Modi, the Home Minister. You have, I mean, even just the folks in the business community, right? I think I got lucky, but I just got some really blue chip folks on my panel as well, right? So, Sanjeev Bikhchandani, Aman from Boat, so on and so forth. So, yeah, I mean, I think it was just a great event, and I think we need more events like these in India just to create more awareness about like what the next 10 years is going to look like for our country. So it's exciting.
Right. And that brings me to my next question. What do you think the next 10 years is going to look like?
I think the next 10 years are obviously going to be a phenomenal run. If I look at it, I'm again very high level, but a lot of the indicators are pointing in the right direction. I do feel like, at least, and what I can see, the early signs of as someone that's operating this company, I think the policy dynamism has definitely improved from what I've heard it was 10, 20 years ago. I was not there. But I've heard that it's really evolved, and I've also seen that up front when I've had the chance to interact with, Minister Goel, Minister Sitaraman. So I think one, like our policy dynamism is fantastic. I think we've got the advantage of having pretty strong base of technical young
Talent.
workforce and talent. Yeah, and so we have this demographic dividend. We've got, I think, the right policy direction, and we have startups and business that are pushing hard. So all the big ticket items are looking good, and I think if we can continue it, we should become like a middle to developed country, in 2 decades, 3 decades or so. Realistically, I mean, it's a crazy audacious goal, but it's possible. I think though, that being said, we've got like some, things that we do make sure we get done. I don't think we've fully cracked, elements of our policy. I won't comment on it because I think I'll get in trouble. But there are definite, and even in our business maturity, right? I mean, you see problems in the startup ecosystem that shouldn't happen, that have happened in ecosystems like the US and China much earlier. So we're still in our nascent phases. We still have to cement that culture of rigor, especially in startups. And obviously we have to make sure that those pitfalls in policy don't blow us up over the next 10, 20 years. But if we stick the course, keep executing, I think we'll be in a fantastic place.
Adit, you talked about talent and workforce. You're the one who's at the helm of things, you're leading the charge, right? So what would you tell the audience? How a leader should be. How do you manage your workforce?
Yeah.
What does your day look like?
Firstly, I mean, I'll start with values. I think that the one thing that has really benefited us, we've been clear about, is that we want to try to build a blue chip, highly meritocratic, professionally managed company, right? And I think there's been a way, I mean, the way that has obviously, been done in the past that was different, which, could be right, could be wrong. But I think if you look at, if we need to mature a generation of young business leaders and make them, eventually scale into, founders and entrepreneurs that build high quality companies, they need to have that, blue chip, professionally managed mentality, at least in my opinion. If you want to build companies of scale, and we do need, at least a couple dozen Boeings, Lockheed Martins, we need really like Amexes, like these big institutional Walmarts, right? For example, Costco's, these sorts of big institutional companies that really built, in the US's case, the middle class over like the course of most of the 20th century, right? So we're going to need these big institutional companies, and so that's one. I think that's really benefited us, just the integrity benefit, doing things in the right way, having the right intent. Not only does that benefit you just from a compliance perspective, interacting with government stakeholders, but also benefits you in the kinds of people that you attract. You just have a really nice positive flywheel of other well-meaning, high-integrity, well-intentioned people. So that's one thing. And look, I think in terms of the way that I go about my day, and the way that we go about building the team. So we're obsessed with talent. Most of my day actually is is hiring, and not that we're hiring a lot of people, but the people that we do hire, we scrutinize and we go very deep, and at least we try to make it a rigorous process. So most of my time is senior hiring, making sure we've got the perfect team, and then once you have that team on board, you just have to give them the license to kill, right? Like when you have, I think I've gotten very lucky where I've just had the chance to work with people that are 10 times smarter than me. I think some of the best in internet companies in India. I've chosen to work at Zepto, and once you have that quality base of talent, you just let them do what they do best, and they'll surprise you. So I think I've gotten lucky there. So yeah, that's the way that I look at it.
That's great. There's a rising concern on data privacy, especially with this bill from the 1st of February coming into play. How does your organization deal with those concerns?
One thing that has worked out fairly well for us is we built out cybersecurity as a vertical reasonably early. We recently also brought on board a leader on cybersecurity dedicatedly, not just for our own internal systems and processes and software, but also for customer-facing data. Because today we've got about 90 lakh people that have transacted in Zepto, right? And most of them are active transacting customers. And so we take that seriously. Obviously, there are threats every day, right? I was talking to the engineering team, and there are constant, attacks, malware pushes. There are spikes in junk traffic that try to take down the app. Happens without exaggeration almost every day.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, especially for a platform of our scale, and the same would be true for large e-commerce companies and the food delivery companies. Right? So it's a constant battle. We're trying to perfect it, and I think that's one thing that's put us in a good stead. Touch wood, we haven't had a major data leak since we started, which I think most large e-commerce companies have gone through. So we're pushing hard on that, but never get complacent. We could easily get, vicious attackers to come to us. So we've taken cybersecurity very seriously. I think trust in consumers is core to us. So if we don't do it, then we lose trust. So that's one. And I think in terms of our own privacy policy and the way that we look at data, I think for us, we've been in a position where customers come to us and they actually tell us on the platform itself what their intent is, right? Most of our transactions are search based. They tell you exactly what you want to buy, what SKU. You don't really need to go deep into trying to figure out some sort of information about that person to figure out what they want. So it's been fairly basic for us. I don't think we've been like a Google or a social media platform that has serious complex data privacy issues. I think the biggest one has only just been cybersecurity. So we've been trying to handle it. But I think in general, again, overall the right direction, right intent from the government. There are a lot more problems to solve, not just in data security, but like other technical risks that we've seen that companies can take advantage of, especially like large monopolies, right? Which I think the government is focused on. So I think it's a good direction. We're trying to do our small little part, but we'll see how it plays out.
And that really is reassuring that we are in safe hands.
Yeah.
So great. I believe that brings us to the end of our interview. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
My pleasure.
It was a pleasure having you.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.